Giggly Gorilla Studios coming at you live. The trees of... We're once again in New York, not in the sewers this time, though.
We are back.
And I'm Braden. I'm Braden with me, as always, as ever, so I should probably get that part out of the way.
Thank God we are above ground. It's not as wet and damp and icky down there.
I don't know, the trees were pretty baller.
Good. I don't know, dude. The trees down in the sewers were not my favorite. I'm much happy to be above ground, breathing fresh air.
Kind of dug hanging out with the turtles.
Yeah. Oh, okay, the turtles did make up for it, I will be honest. But today, we get to hang out with Spider-Man, so that's pretty cool if you ask me.
Spoilers.
Braden also...
Spoilers if you haven't seen either of these movies. We're gonna hang out with one Spider-Man because Peter Parker fucking died.
Oh, yeah. Well, it'll be two for like a little bit, and then it'll be one. But then we get like another one
Then we'll get Peter B. Parker.
Right, and then we get like a bunch of other Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, we're talking about Into and Across the Spider-Verse, by the way, if you didn't see the title of this episode.
Yeah, if you were completely unaware. That's what's going on. But aside from that, Braden just watched the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie for the first time.
Yeah, dude, I finally watched it, and... Okay, so the reason I waited so long to watch this is because, like, a lot of, like, my late teens to early 20s, I had fucked up dreams pretty often, so I was always paranoid to just check out this franchise because it was entirely based around dreams. And I'm like, that's probably just gonna make my dreams even more messed up. But it's a great movie. I'm glad I finally watched it. It's really good. If you're a horror fan and you're like, you haven't seen it, you should check it out.
Yeah, no, you should. I watched a good number of Nightmare movies, either last year, like 2021, 2022. I haven't seen all of them because I've heard a couple of them specifically aren't good at all. But I've seen the first one, which I really like, and then the third one, which is Dream Warriors, which is even better in my opinion, and then New Nightmare, which Wes Craven, came back, directed. I like that one a lot. Freddy v. Jason is kind of like stupid, but I like it. I think it's a fun watch. And
I said I've never seen a Nightmare movie. I've seen Freddy v. Jason, but I know that's more of a Freddy movie than a Jason movie, but it doesn't really feel like your typical Nightmare on Elm Street movie just because Jason's there, and me personally, I'm far, far more intimidated of fucking Jason Voorhees than I am of Freddy Krueger. I feel like I could kick Freddy Krueger's fucking ass. Jason Voorhees is like, dude, I'm going within 100 meters of you, bro.
I think the concept of that movie is so, like, fun. It's just like, Freddy's like, God damn it. These kids are grown up. They're not scared of me anymore. This sucks. How can I make them be scared again?
Dude, the parents are so terrible in the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie. They are terrible fucking parents that do not listen to their children.
Bottom tier horror.
They knew that. They knew of Fred Krueger too. They knew who he was. So, like, why can you not believe this is happening? Like, if they know who Fred Krueger is and you've never brought this up, why would they know this man if he wasn't somehow getting himself involved into their life?
Yeah. I don't know. Some very bad parenting going on, but overall it's a really cool movie. I like
the whole mystique of it. Like, it had this whole mystique kind of throughout, especially with the parents just kind of ignoring the children. Like, nah, it's not real. And then the mom drops the bomb on the daughter, like, Fred Krueger is dead. And she's like, you knew who Fred Krueger was this whole time and you thought I was lying? And she continues to think she's lying. Or she just doesn't want to believe it because she wants to believe that she wants to believe that Freddy's dead.
I think that's more of it is that, like, those parents are traumatized by Freddy and they just want to believe, nah, he's gone. He couldn't possibly be literally trying to kill my child in their sleep. I'm not going to do anything.
Yeah, he can't be the one that murdered all of my daughter's friends. No way.
Yeah, no way. That's just another generic...
Yeah, some other person had to, like, liquefy Johnny Depp.
Yeah. But no, I really like the atmosphere and the lore of those movies. The Dream stuff is pretty unique. I need to watch more of the other, like, long-running horror franchises, but...
Dude, when you go back and watch some of these horror movies from, like, the 80s, 70s, though, like, some of the acting is not the best, but just, the way it's directed and the, like, just the atmosphere that the director creates and the cinematography of it all, like, it really helps. Like, the acting doesn't bother me too much, even though it's nowhere near top tier.
Yeah, I agree. But, no, I'm happy you finally watched it. I hope you watch at least Dream Warriors now. if you watch more than that, then good on you. But that's.
Well, I'm definitely gonna watch New Nightmare if Wes Craven did it. I love Wes Craven.
That's true. No, I like New Nightmare a lot. I don't think it's like amazing, but it's kind of, you see a lot of like the early really meta and interesting ideas that he was starting to come up with before he made the Scream movies.
Yeah, I do still prefer Scream over Nightmare, but they're pretty close, honestly. I like them both a lot.
Yeah. So I think it really makes sense in his filmography, and it's just a cool concept. I don't think it's realized to like the absolute pinnacle of what it could have been, but I still think it's a good movie for sure. You should check it out. Dude, I watched the like 2010 or 2011, I don't know when it was, the remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street from like either the late 2000s or early 2010s. That movie is awful.
Don't basically just make Freddy a pedo in that?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand that decision.
That is basically it, and
I mean, he kind of did feel like that at times in the original, like, when he calls Nancy and, like, he's like, I'm your boyfriend now, and his tongue comes through the phone. I'm like, okay, that's a 15-year-old, Freddy. I know you're dead and you're only alive in people's dreams, but chill the fuck out, okay?
Yeah, but no, the remake is so much worse. I mean, obviously they didn't have a director like Wes Craven helming it, so that just hurts it in general, but, all around, it's not that good in my opinion.
Yeah, I was honestly expecting the first to be way more gross than it was. There's a couple, like, gross moments, but they're not that disgusting. It's kind of like, oh, here's some maggots in his stomach. Oh, here's a fucking centipede falling out of his mouth. It's a lot of insect stuff. And then whatever was on the ground, like snakes or something. I don't know what the fuck those were.
Mm-hmm. Dude, there's so many, like, horror movies that just force feed insects into there. So, like,
Hereditary.
Scary shit. And I'm just like, I don't know.
It's not scary, though. It's disgusting. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's just gross. like, I don't know. Not a fan of, we gotta cut down on the insects in horror movies.
Though. The insects and vomit. Cut down on both of them.
Brayden is very much not a vomit guy in his movie.
Just in general.
I'm sorry, I didn't make it seem like you were a pro vomit.
Look, I don't like vomiting. I don't like seeing others vomit, whether it's in person or on film.
Yeah, he is entirely anti-vomit.
Yes.
So, let's just get that clear. Anyway.
But Spider-Man.
There's the Spider-Man movie, yeah. So I guess we'll obviously start with the first one, which was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, released in December of 2018. You did not see it in theaters, correct?
No, I did not.
Okay. I did see it in theaters, basically entirely just based upon word of mouth. Like, I probably wasn't going to go see it, because I'd seen the trailers, but I wasn't really sure, and then I remember the Rotten Tomato score coming out and being like 97%, and I was getting like really hyped, and then I was like, Mom, I'm in 8th grade, you know, I don't have a driver's license. I'm like, Mom, can we go see the Spider-Man movie? And she's like, I guess. And then we went on a school night. It was Sunday night, I believe. And we watched it, and it was awesome. And I had a great time. So I guess there's my early thoughts on the movie. But yeah, what is your experience with watching it for the first time? And then I know you rewatched it earlier this year.
Yeah, I liked it when I watched it the first time. I'm kind of the same with you on the trailer experience. Like, I thought the animation looked cool. Like, yeah, but as for the narrative and stuff, I didn't get much from the trailer other than like, hey, here's a movie with multiple Spider-Man. So I was like, okay. I mean, I've seen enough Spider-Man movies. I think I can wait for this one. And I didn't really pay attention to like the critic reviews or anything either. But once I did finally get around to watching it, when it was on Netflix, and I kind of wish I did see it in theaters because that shit was good. It was so good.
Yeah.
And I liked it even more when I rewatched it this year, so.
Yeah, I know. You told me you were rewatching it, and I was like, okay, hype. And then you said, man, this is way better, or not way better, but you were like, this is better than I remembered it. And I was like, let's go. Brayden's coming around to it even more, because I've seen this movie, like, probably 5 times, and it's kind of grown to be, like, one of my all-time favorites. So I'm very happy that you enjoy it as well. In theaters, it was super cool. I mean, you kind of knew it was something different and potentially special right away when they do the glitch intro with the Sony glitching out in the like Spider-Verse Matrix animation type style. Oh, that came on in the theater. Yeah, and I looked at my mom and I was like, "Whoa, kind of funky. What are we getting ourselves into?" Yeah, and then it just goes from there.
Yeah, they utilize, like, the art form of animation perfectly, because this is a movie that you cannot do in live action whatsoever. You'll never be able to do this in live action. This is basically the closest you'll probably get to a comic coming to life.
Yeah, I've said that many times, that I think this movie, and Across the Spider-Verse, but I've said it about this movie when it came out specifically. It is, like, the most comic booky movie ever made. Like, just how it looks, all the different little, like, bits they put in there with, like, speech bubbles popping up, or little, like, exclamation points, like you'd see in friggin' Batman 66.
Yeah.
Like, actually worked into the animation really well. It's so cool, and just brings this world to life, I feel like, in such an awesome way. Obviously, this animation opened the doorway for, like, a ton of stuff we've been seeing in the past couple years with animation, like Puss in Boots: The Last Wish kind of uses some of this, and the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, most people are saying, I haven't seen it, you have been saying definitely borrow from the Spider-Verse style of animation, so it's...
I mean, I think you can gather that from the trailers. Like, the animation design is pretty close to what Spider-Verse did. You can tell they were taking inspiration from Spider-Verse.
So, these movies have kind of become not only narratively significant to Spider-Verse fans and just, like, or Spider-Man fans and movie fans, but, like, are leaving a lasting impact technically on the industry, which you can't say about every animated movie that comes out.
Yeah, just on animation and film in general, both.
Right.
It's pretty incredible. This is a lot of people's, this or Across the Spider-Verse, one of the Spider-Verse movies is a lot of people's favorite Spider-Man movie. Which, that just speaks volumes itself.
Yeah, I will say, I guess, Into the Spider-Verse is my favorite Spider-Man film. And then we'll get into it later, but I do really like Across the Spider-Verse. I think it's great. I do have, I think, Spider-Man 2 and maybe one more, No Way Home or Homecoming in between.
My Spider-Man movies have kind of shifted from what's my favorite and not favorite. Like, it was Spider-Man 2 for the longest, then it was No Way Home for a little bit, and after I rewatched Spider-Verse, I was like, no, this is a better multiverse movie than No Way Home. But it's Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 is still my favorite, mostly because of nostalgia, probably. And I just think the action in that movie is absolutely incredible. It still holds up today.
Yeah, it does.
But Into the Spider-Verse is my second favorite after that, so...
Okay. Yeah, I think Spider-Man 2 is my second favorite, but Into the Spider-Verse has become my favorite Spider-Man movie. I just think it's so fun to watch, it's so unique, and, for people saying, oh, it's not like Peter Parker, so it's not like really Spider-Man, or it's not like my Spider-Man movie, like, Miles is a great character.
I would argue that the connection you see between Miles and his father is better than any connection you've ever seen of Peter and Uncle Ben.
That's probably a hot take to some, like, diehard Spider-Man fans.
Well, I haven't read the comics, though, so, like, I mean, only seeing the movies and, like, some of the animated shows, we never see a ton of Uncle Ben, so, I mean, to be fair, the Miles and, what is his dad's name?
Jeffrey?
Yeah, Jeffrey.
I think.
Yeah. Miles and Jeffrey's relationship, like, gets a lot more time on screen to kind of get fleshed out, so.
Yeah, for sure. And I like how, just throughout the two movies, it's never a perfect relationship, like, by any means. Like, they still have struggles and issues with each other.
That's a lot of father-son relationships, though.
Exactly, yeah. That's, I think, really realistic, but at the end of the day, it's always clear that they both love each other a lot, and that's gonna triumph over everything. I also love Uncle Aaron, specifically in Into the Spider-Verse, where he gets the most to do. Obviously, we've already said spoilers, so...
Oh, he's incredible. I love him. And, I knew nothing about the character of the Prowler, so I didn't see that twist coming at all.
I didn't either. I didn't know about the Prowler at this point, so that shocked me. And I think it's a really cool dynamic of, like, showing how a quote-unquote supervillain or a bad guy can still have, like, good elements to his character and still be a good person in some ways, because him helping out Miles is, like, really cool stuff, in my opinion, and he seems like a good uncle figure that I would like to have in my life. Then you find out he's the Prowler, and it's like, what the hell? Yeah,
he just kind of got stuck in with bad people, basically. He just, like, once he started working for Kingpin, he was probably stuck there. Like, there's no leaving Kingpin unless it's in a body bag.
Right. Which, yeah, I wouldn't cross Kingpin.
Me either. That's why you should never work for him in the first place.
Exactly.
I don't know who would cross that man besides the Incredible fucking Hulk.
Kingpin, I think, could go a couple rounds with the Incredible Hulk. That dude is 8 feet tall, 500 pounds. Like, what an absolute machine of a man. But, yeah, Uncle Aaron is, awesome. Some of my favorite parts of this movie are early on in it when Miles is just chilling in his apartment and Uncle Aaron's like telling him how to get girls and they're like going at the punching bag together. And then they obviously, like, they go to the, subway tunnel or abandoned tunnel or whatever, and Miles does his graffiti, which leads to him getting bit by the radioactive spider.
Yeah, he's Miles' uncle, but it just feels like such a bromance going on there. They just feel like bros hanging out.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that the graffiti and the artist, like, that Miles is something that continues throughout both of these movies. Like, at the end of Into the Spider-Verse, he does the, like, mural for Uncle Aaron, I think, and then we see more of that stuff in Across the Spider-Verse. So it's like, it's a cool character trait that I'm glad they didn't just, like, drop once he got bit by the spider and became Spider-Man.
Yeah. It's kind of like, I don't know, I guess it's kind of like how Peter Parker is a photographer, and, like, he still does that even after he becomes Spider-Man. Well, that's actually how he gets rich well, not rich, but gets banned.
I'm not rich. Peter Parker is not
rich, but, you know, he makes a living because he's Spider-Man, and he's the only one that can get pictures of Spider-Man. Give me pictures of Spider-Man! I can't do a J.K. Simmons impression at all.
Maybe the only thing that would have made Into the Spider-Verse better is J.K. Simmons.
That's true. J.K. Simmons just makes everything better.
Literally everything better. But yeah, Miles ends up getting bit by the spider, and that leads us to him meeting the current universe of Spider-Man, Peter Parker, who I really like this iteration of Spider-Man. We don't see him for very long, but
should we mention Gwen Stacy before we get to this, because he meets Gwen at school before he runs into Peter?
Oh, that's true. I think that's right.
Yeah, so
yeah.
Like, I don't know. Their whole interaction, they're the first day Miles goes to the new school, one of the first people he interacts with is Gwen, and they have, like, just the weirdest interactions. But it all makes sense later on, because Gwen is like, oh, I sense that you were the one I was looking for, that, I got brought into this earth to find you.
Yeah, but no, that interaction is so, like, awkward and, like, weird and, like, I don't know what's happening right now, but it makes sense later on. But yeah, this universe is Peter Parker. I think he's a great iteration of the character, at least from the literal 15 minutes we get to see of him.
Mr. Chris Pine.
Yeah, we love Chris Pine. Chris Pine is a homie. Maybe the best Hollywood Chris.
Maybe. I love him.
Yeah. But no, I just love that this Spider-Man, who's, like, been doing it for years, was so open to, like, taking Miles in, because he was like, oh my god, there's someone else like me. I don't have to feel so alone in this. It's, like, such a great connection that forms so fast, and then, obviously, it's just ripped away pretty much just as fast as it began.
Yeah, he's kind of, like, before Kingpin finishes Peter off, he's kind of guiding Miles a little bit to how to use the powers and everything. So Miles, like, touches base on how to use his powers thanks to that Earth. Our Earth's Peter. I guess we'll just call it our Earth, since it's, like, the main Earth.
Yeah, it's our Earth. Yeah, it's the main one.
Yeah.
It's so base.
Kingpin kills our Earth's Peter, sadly. That death is so, like, soul-crushing, just because it's Spider-Man.
I know.
And just to see Spider-Man defeated like that, if you grew up as a fan of Spider-Man, I think it just hurts a little, like, oh, that's one of my favorite heroes. It's one of my boys, man.
Mm-hmm. And it's just like, oh my god, he literally just gets, like, destroyed by Kingpin.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
Kingpin,
dude. It makes Kingpin look formidable as hell. They do a great job of making Kingpin look like a threat.
Uh-huh.
And, yeah, Kingpin's whole purpose, what he's trying to do in this movie, is get his family back. So he's trying to find, like, the same family, like, identical set of genes to what his were. They died in a car wreck, I believe? Something like that?
Yep. Yeah.
So he's trying to find them, and yeah, we'll get to that at the end with the whole showdown thing. But that's his incentive this entire movie. That's why Peter ends up getting killed. So
Mm-hmm.
Pretty strong incentive, you want your family back, but, if they're from another Earth, they're not your family. That's something Kingpin can't really fathom.
I've never really gotten it. Like, I understand wanting your family back, but wouldn't there always be a piece in his mind that is like,
it's not them.
This is not my real family.
They're just, it's basically clones, essentially. That's what you're doing. You're just cloning your family. They're not your family.
Yeah, I don't know. But, that interaction, obviously Spider-Man dies, or Peter Parker dies, leaving, Miles on his own, and, it's pretty crushing. Like, there's 10 minutes of this movie where Miles is sad, I feel sad watching it, and it's like, oh boy, what is gonna happen from here?
Yeah, Kingpin kills Peter, Miles gasps, and then Kingpin tells Prowler, go kill him. And then Miles, he escapes from all that.
And then we meet, Peter B. Parker, who is, pretty cool. I mean, not in the traditional sense, I guess. He's kind of fat and doesn't really seem to care about too much right away. But once you get to know him...
he's not really fat. He's just a little out of shape. Out of Spider-Man shape. He's not even in that bad of shape, honestly.
No, he's just out of shape for Spider-Man.
How much do you need to be in shape for Spider-Man, though? How much does the superpowers do for you?
Right, that's a good question. I don't know. Could you just be...
you can lift 10 tons. So, how in shape do you really need to be?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. We need to ask the Spider-Man...
I'm sure that web slinging probably gets exhausting, though.
That's true. I mean, the less weight you need to carry, the easier the web slinging is. Yeah, that checks out. But, I love this whole first stretch of, Miles meeting Peter B. and trying to get him to help him out, and Peter B. is not having any of it. And then, Miles does the whole, pouty, sad kid thing on, the side of the wall, and Peter B. Parker's just like, God damn it, I guess I'll help this kid. I mean, look at him. He's so sad.
Yeah, and then, the whole thing kind of back and forth between them this whole movie is, Peter B. is I'm here to be this Earth Spider-Man since yours died. And Miles is I can be this Earth Spider-Man. And Peter B. is no, you're not ready, dude. No.
Yeah. I just realized we glossed over, before, this part to kind of set up their first mission together where they have to get a new goober, as they call it. The way that Miles breaks the original goober that Peter gives him is one of my favorite comedic moments in this movie, where he's just starting to learn his powers and try to use them, and he runs all the way up to the top of the building, and the huge instrumental music just builds and builds, and then it just straight cuts to him walking back down. I think that's hilarious, and there's actually a callback to it in the in Across the Spider-Verse with his dad, so pretty cool. But
speaking of music, the soundtrack in this movie is fucking great.
It is definitely a highlight. Obviously, Sunflower has become so overplayed now that it's kind of whatever, but it's still a good song. And when it came out for the movie, I thought it was great.
Yeah,
it's just I've heard it too much.
Hyde is one of my lesser favorite Juice WRLD songs, but it's Juice WRLD, so I'm happy that's in the movie.
Right. That's just naming a couple on top of what I think is
What's Up Danger. Should shout out that one too.
Yeah, What's Up Danger.
I'm sure you're gonna talk about that scene, but
I will talk about that scene a lot. But yeah, great soundtrack. Also a great score on top of it. I think the score in Across the Spider-Verse is stronger than it is in this one. But, great score, great soundtrack. The music in these movies is awesome. So, yeah, Peter B. Parker and Miles set out on their little mission to go to, the lab.
Oh, yeah.
And, we meet our Doc Ock, who is a little bit different.
Oh my god, dude. When she's just given, the whole spiel at the beginning, Peter B's you're kind of quirky. What was your name again? Dr. Octavius. And he's oh no! You're kidding me!
Oh, shoot. Yeah, it's such a great moment. And then all the stuff with Miles, trying to remember, the password and everything that Peter B told him.
Oh, yeah.
Peter B is just remember this. It's 5789EB72345 exclamation point. And Miles is
yeah, he's I'm gonna keep her occupied.
Yeah.
And he's just getting his ass kicked the whole time. He barely gets any offense in on her. She is kicking his fucking ass, throwing him through walls. And Miles is like, I don't know what I'm doing. And he's trying to ask Peter while he's getting his ass kicked, what do you do? And he's explaining it to him. That's probably why he's getting his ass kicked. He has to explain all this shit to Miles.
Yeah, and then Miles says, screw it, and just takes the whole computer basically.
Oh, yeah. And the sequence after this is, like, I think it's just one of the most beautiful in the whole movie, where they're just swinging through the trees. And it's kind of the first time Miles actually, like, learns how to swing properly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it. Obviously Gwen comes back into the picture
in
that scene. Has a really awesome entrance. Her theme is, like, riffing, and she does some cool swinging. Yeah, I love that scene. It looks great. The animation is gorgeous, and it kind of brings Gwen into the fold, which yeah,
and then she lays it down that she's from another universe and she was brought here to find Miles.
Yep. She is not the last of the new spider people that we meet in this movie, though. Nothing close to what we will come to know in Across the Spider-Verse. But I don't know. I guess you want to talk about all the other members of the squad that we get to meet up with later.
Yeah, they go to Aunt May's, right? And she's like, "Yo, come out here." And she takes them into, like, a shed, and there's just a bunch of Spider-Men waiting. Well, I say it's a shed. It looked like a shed, but then there was, like, stairs or something. I don't know.
I know. There's, like, a whole, like, button that is, like, an elevator.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know what that is. It seems like a good place to go if there's ever a tornado. You're safe down there, man.
Right. Yeah. But I guess it would make sense since our Earth's Peter was so many years in and so experienced that he and Aunt May would have worked together to build this up. One of my like favorite moments that everyone talks about, but they talk about it because it's great, is when Peter B comes to May's home, and May's like, "You look tired," and he's like, "I am tired."
Yeah.
Like, me too, bro. Me and you both.
No, the little elevator thing that we were talking about that leads to the secret headquarters, though, it felt like the most, like, Spider-Man, Batman moment ever to me. I'm like, this feels like a Batman thing.
It's literally the Batcave. Like...
Yeah.
But yeah, they go down in there. They meet a Nicolas Cage voicing friggin'
my God,
Spider-Man Noir.
Such a standout in this movie. I love him.
He is so great.
When it's like later on in the movie, you know, after the whole Prowler sequence again, once he comes back into things and King murders him, and Miles runs back to the whole team, and they're like, "Miles, where were you?" And he's like, "The Kingpin just murdered my uncle." And he's like, "That's a pretty hardcore origin story."
Yeah. God. So yeah, he is amazing in this movie. I love how he's like fascinated by the Rubik's Cube and everything.
Oh yeah, he's like, "I'm gonna take this with me and figure out all of its mysteries."
I'm gonna learn how to master this thing. I don't understand it yet, but I will.
He just doesn't understand it because it's all color. He's like, "Where's the black? Where's the?"
What are these things? Like, oh my god. But yeah, he's probably my favorite outside of like Gwen and Peter B. But we also meet Penny Parker, who's got like a stick-ass anime robot thing going on. And then Spider-Ham, who's basically just there for comedic relief, but it works when they need it to.
John Mulaney.
Yeah. Very, very cool to see him. Dude, he was in an episode of The Bear season 2.
Really?
Like, I literally was watching it last week, and John Mulaney showed up, and I was like, whoa, what are you doing? But, yeah. So they all meet, and unfortunately, the villains of this movie, you know, Tombstone and Octavius and the Prowler eventually shows up. They all converge at poor Aunt May's house that just has to literally be wrecked by this huge super battle going on between spider people and spider villains. I was like, I feel for you, Aunt May. That's probably why she ended up moving to Florida, to be honest. She was like, I can't deal with all this.
Yeah, hopefully she had house insurance.
No kidding, because that place got pretty messed up.
Which, I mean, if your nephew was Spider-Man, I really hope you have that house insurance. You have to expect something like that on occasion, right?
Yeah, for sure. But, yeah, big fight breaks out, and basically the climax of this scene is Uncle Aaron basically finding out Miles is Spider-Man, and then wanting to protect him, which leads to him getting shot by Kingpin. And his death is still moves me a lot, dude. Like, the first time I thought I was really sad, but every time I watch it, I still get in my feels, because it's so well done.
Jeffrey comes up, walks around the corner.
Yeah. It's
and all he sees is Spider-Man leaving.
Like, Spider-Man's a killer. Oh my god. But it's like, no, Jeff, Spider-Man's your son, and he just was trying to say goodbye to his uncle as he was dying. That line Uncle Aaron says where he's like, just keep going, man. Keep going. Oh, I love it.
Man, he was a villain, but he was such a good uncle, man.
He was such a good uncle. He did not deserve to die, even though he was the prowler. But, like Spider-Man Noir said, everybody needs an origin story. That kind of
he was just kind of a guy that was doing the wrong things, but not necessarily for the wrong reasons.
Right. Yeah. So then we get to basically kind of the turning point as we head from like the second act to the third act. The Spider people have kind of lost their faith in Miles. He's having trouble figuring out his new abilities. He can't even turn invisible on command. Like, what an absolute clown. This is where the juice
world let's just ignore that this dude's like traumatized from seeing his uncle die.
I know. Everyone gives up on him. It's like, my uncle just died, dude. It's like, well, can you electro?
If anyone should know that trauma can like cause blocks in your powers, it should be Spider-Man. Like, that's the thing in Spider-Man 2. Like, when he loses the belief in himself, he just can't use his powers anymore. He's like, well, I guess I'm not Spider-Man anymore because I don't believe in myself.
Yeah.
And then Aunt May's like, look, Peter, you're stupid. You need to believe in yourself. The world needs Spider-Man. He's like, you're right, Aunt May.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Aunt May's getting fat. But yeah, basically Miles goes back to his room, or they basically tie him up in his room.
Yeah, literally, they do tie him up. They tie him to a fucking chair so he can't leave.
You're not going to jeopardize this mission.
And they lock the door!
I know.
Why do you need to lock the door when he can't even move? I guess so he can't roll out. I don't know.
Yeah. Then we get to...
Dude, that interaction with his dad is so sad when his dad comes to the door and he's like, I love you. You don't have to say it back.
He's pouring his heart out, and Miles is like, he's taking it in, but he can't say anything back because he's tied up. Like,
his mouth's taped shut.
It's such a great moment, but it's so tough to watch because it's like all you want is for these two to like hug each other and like make up.
I know.
He can't do it because he's tied up, but his dad does give him the strength and the mindset to break loose. He uses his electricity powers. And he gets out of the stuff, and then we get to my favorite scene in the movie, the What's Up Danger scene. I saw this in theaters. It was pretty much the coolest thing ever. I look forward to it every time I watch it again. Just that moment of like, he's up there on the window at the top tower, and he's just hearing everything from the movie, everything everyone's told him go through his mind, and the score is building up, and he hears Peter B tell him, it's just a leap of faith, man. And he leaps from the tower.
Yeah, and he takes a literal leap of faith. He's like, fuck it. I either die here or I'm Spider-Man. One or the other.
Yeah. And what I love is, I'm not the first one to point this out either, but they established earlier on in the movie that if Spider-Man is relaxed and controlled and he wants to stop sticking to something, he'll just, like, let go perfectly fine. Like, nothing will happen. But if he's, like, nervous, he'll, like, stick. Mm-hmm. And when he jumps, the glass from the window breaks. Like, it literally comes with him and breaks, showing that, like, he's still kind of nervous as hell, but he's willing to take that leap of faith anyway.
Yeah, logic makes enough sense. Like, if you're nervous, you still stick. If you're not, you can let go. It's kind of like, when we're nervous, like, we'll maybe shake or something like that. And if we're not, we're just chill. We're just like, yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, but that scene is awesome. What's Up Danger is a sick song, and it kind of combined with the score of the movie and just the visuals. I love that. I wanted to get the poster of him like free falling through the skyline forever, and I just haven't gotten it yet. But he finally realizes like his powers are working, everything's clicking, and he just balls out, runs across the city, swinging, running, jumping, everything. It's awesome. And then he's on his way to go meet the rest of the gang. Yeah, it's an awesome. I love it.
Yeah, it's pretty great. It's visually awesome. The score and the What's Up Danger soundtrack with it all is awesome. It works well together. It's a good character moment. And it's Miles finally properly becoming Spider-Man. Like, he is Spider-Man now.
Mm-hmm. And I even love, like, before where he goes to Aunt May, and Aunt May is like, I've been expecting you. Come with me. And then he spray paints his suit, and he still keeps the hoodie on, showing that
oh, dude, I love when he shows up to get with the other Spider-Man again, and they're like, what the hell are you doing here? And he's like, took a leap of faith, and they're like, dope ass fucking symbol.
They went from like, oh my god, no, why is he here? He's gonna jeopardize this thing. And then he's like, I took a leap of faith. And they're like, hey, your logo's cool though, bro. And they're
like, that suit's fly, bro. Like,
yeah. And then I will say one, like maybe the only issue I have with this movie is when I rewatch it. This final act, like this final battle, takes a little bit too long, and there's just so much going on throughout it in terms of like the animation is at its craziest with all the like collider like bubbles and everything going on, and it just takes a while to get to like the point you really want to get to, which is Miles coming into his own and the fight with Kingpin. I don't know if that's something you feel. Again, this is one of my favorite movies, so I don't have a lot of complaints, but I think this third act, once we get past What's Up Danger, drags a tiny bit.
Maybe for a minute, but I think like the back half of the sequence is pretty good. Like once the anime girl lost the robot. They make a robot's death sad in this.
Dude,
I'm like, how am I feeling emotions for a fucking robot right now? An animated robot.
Dude, when it does when its eyes X out and then it turns off, I'm like, no!
And she's just crying and hugging him. I'm like, oh my god, no!
It's so sad. God.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know, it's just I don't know, I guess it's just kind of like how you look at pets too, like, you look at them as more defenseless than you, so you look at that robot as more defenseless than a human, so, like, right. Especially superpowered human.
But no, I think overall, the ending, action sequence. It's well done. Everyone gets to show off their skills. I love the moment when Miles swings up to the top to get the thing in place to stop the
Bro, Miles does so much cool shit in this scene. Dude, when he swings through, flies through.
and then Peter B and Gwen both look at each other and they're like, we taught him that, right? Like that. And Gwen's like, I didn't teach him that. You definitely didn't teach him that.
I love that moment. It's one of the funniest in the movie. She's like, no.
No, that's him, bro. Stop trying to take credit. You definitely did not teach him that.
Yeah, and then the moment, where he's sending Peter B back, and Peter B's, he's been talking the whole time about how he fucked up with Mary Jane and how he just wants MJ. And Miles is like, look, man, all it takes is a leap of faith.
That's such a great callback.
Yes, it's so good. It's like, get some of your own medicine, fool. The student has become the motherfucking teacher.
And Peter B listens, and he's like, you're right. Let's go. Falls into the collider to take him back to his home.
It's showing, his optimism for the future with MJ, but it's also showing that he believes in Miles.
Yeah, that is a great moment. And then Miles is like, okay. It's time to finish things with Kingpin. This battle is awesome. Some of the hits Miles takes from Kingpin are wild. I'm like, Miles is a 15-year-old scrawny little kid from Brooklyn. I know he has Spider-Man powers, but how is he holding up to some of this abuse? Because Kingpin is throwing haymakers.
That's all Kingpin throws.
That's true.
Yeah, and when Kingpin is bringing the other Earth's what was his family? The doppelgangers of his family, and they're like, and the son's like, Mom, where are we? Who is he? They're terrified of him.
The mom's like, I don't know, but yeah, they don't want to see him, and he's like, well, shoot, Then he just gets more angry.
Yeah.
And then to defeat Kingpin, finally, we get another callback, which Miles uses his Uncle Aaron's advice on how to get bitches.
Yes.
To shut Kingpin down. He uses the hey, Electro shocks him into smithereens, and that's basically it. He ties him up after the collider shuts down. And then we get a fun moment.
Yeah,
with,
Kingpin's like,
Dad.
any last words? And he just touches his shoulder. Yeah. Hey. And shocks the shit out of him.
It's so great. Just all the setup and everything. Such a great way to finish this out. And then, obviously, Spider-Man and his dad kind of get a little moment at the end where Spider-Man's dad is like, hey, I don't always agree with your methods, but I like what you're doing. And Miles is like, he tries to use the, like, super fake Brooklyn thick accent. He's like, oh yeah, man, going good, just trying to do, so he doesn't recognize him. And then it kind of closes out with the theme, I would say, overall, of both of these movies, and it seems like the entire trilogy, which is that anyone can wear the mask. You know, you don't have to look a certain way or be a certain type of person to be able to be a superhero. You do probably have to be bit by a radioactive spider, which I don't know if that can just happen to everyone. But I really like that message, kind of showing, you know, you don't gotta be white or like anything. You can be a hero, and it's kind of corny, but I also love it.
Yeah, and also when Miles as Spider-Man tells his father, "I love you," and Jeffrey's like, "What?"
He's like, I'm just a soul-loving guy, man.
And then he's like, "I got a present for you," and it's just Kingpin webbed up.
Such a great ending. So yeah,
so terrific.
Yep.
And
then
I wonder,
Gwen does pop up at the very end as like a lead in to the sequel, but
yeah,
I love this movie. It's so well done from start to finish. The animation is obviously a standout, but I just think it's a great Spider-Man story, great Spider-Man origin story. Kind of brings to light different Spider-Men than we've seen before. Miles Morales. I love it. My favorite Spider-Man movie. One of my favorite movies of all time. Just really cool that it got made, to be honest. Because, like, I mean, it didn't have a crazy budget. It was I think, was like $90 million. But it's still a gamble from Sony, and it obviously has paid off super well, given the sequel and how much money that made.
I'm not, like, super surprised it got made, just given that, you know, Sony isn't really doing live-action Spider-Man right now, so it's a way for them to put Spider-Man movies out while the MCU is using Spidey.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. So, yeah, I guess that wraps up the first part of this. Fortunately for us, they made another one of these movies. It came out
on digital, not like...
It is out on digital.
Like what,
now,
this week or last week? I guess last week?
Yeah,
it's Monday now.
I don't know. Very, very recently came out on digital, so if you haven't checked Across the Spider-Verse out, and you want to, you can probably pay too much money to rent it on, like, Amazon Prime Video. So, hey. But, anyway, I was, pretty excited for this movie. I had high hopes. I was definitely going to see it in theaters. I did see it in theaters. I would say it lived up to my expectations, but it didn't, like, way surpass my expectations. My expectations were high. It lived up to it. I think it's a great movie. I do think Into the Spider-Verse is a bit better, but that's, I guess, just my overall blanket thoughts on Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think it met my expectations, honestly. I didn't expect it to be better than the first, so... And I liked the first more, so it didn't disappoint me when I liked the second one a little less. But I still like it a lot. It's really good.
Yeah, I love it. I think the animation is even, like, another level up from the first one, which is pretty incredible. Like, this is on a short list of the most beautiful movies, like, visually appealing movies I've ever seen, animation or live action. It's just jaw-dropping how much went into the look and feel of the animation in this movie.
I think this movie does that I honestly do not like is the scenes where there are, like, live-action Spider-Man and stuff. I don't know. It just throws me out of the movie because, like, if I'm watching an animated movie, I just want to see animated stuff. I don't want to...
That's a good point. I kind of agree. Like, there are a couple times, like, you see Andrew Garfield and you see, I can't think of his name, but the Prowler,
Donald Glover,
sort of.
or
Donald Glover. You see him. So
I think you might see
Toby
once or something. I think they might show the Raimi Spider-Man. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I know some people were like, "Oh, that's really cool to see that," and it makes to them it feels like it's a multiverse movie, and it's like this Spider-Verse is feeling like it makes it feel more well-rounded or something. But I would have preferred to just keep it all animated.
Yeah, me too. It just, I don't know. I don't like hate it, but it just kind of throws me out of the movie.
Yeah. Something I think is interesting about this movie, it is still completely a Miles Morales movie. He is still the main character, but it does open with Gwen for about the first 10 minutes or so, up until the title card rolls, which I think is a cool choice because you obviously see her at the end of the first movie, and it felt like she was going to be a bigger player in this one.
I think Gwen is probably closer to co-lead in this than anyone was in the last one.
Yeah.
Because, like half of this movie is about... I mean, a lot of it is just about Miles and Gwen's relationship and the similarities they share between just everything.
Yeah. I guess that's a good point is, I do really like how this movie takes the first 30, even 45 minutes maybe, basically the entire first act, to stay grounded and focus on Miles still being Spider-Man in Brooklyn, and Gwen comes to visit him, and they kind of just like chill, and it feels still very like kind of like connected and grounded, and the scope isn't as large as it gets later on in the movie. And so I feel like it does a good job to build up to what we get towards the end, where if you would have just like thrown us into this crazy Spider-Verse thing, I don't think it would have worked as well.
Yeah, I never really expected them to just throw you into... The first one's too good for that. Like, they're not going to lead you to anything without setup.
Yeah, for sure. But we see a Spot at the beginning, who is kind of the main villain of this, but it's also kind of Spider-Man 2099. But I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't really have a main villain, I would say. It kind of... I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, because... I mean, I think Spider-Man 2099 honestly does feel more like the villain than... Who was the other one?
Spot is his name?
Spot. Then Spot, like... I feel like Spot was just kind of a conduit for the plot.
Yeah, I agree, actually. But I also don't think Spider-Man 2099 ever feels like a complete villain.
I mean, I don't know, his outlook is a lot like Thanos's.
Well... That is true. You know what? That's a good point. But he's clearly a very damaged person. Mm-hmm. He's doing what he's doing because he believes it's the right thing to do, which obviously lots of villains have done. Yeah. So I'm not saying that makes him not a villain. But,
yeah, I think he believes he's not a villain, but that doesn't mean he's not.
Right. Yeah. So yes, we get to know Spot, and Spot's kind of, like, an amateur and whatever. It is a very cool thing.
I thought it was so weird once he came into the movie. I was like, who is this guy? What are they doing right now?
Yeah, although I think it kind of combines two things that I like, which one is comic book movies like this starting their movie with like a more B-tier, like obscure villain that you can just use as a like first scene to get back.
That's what I thought it was going to be, but then he's in like the whole thing.
Yeah, so it starts as that, sort of like a Crossbones in Captain America Civil War type thing, but then he does something that I think is pretty uncommon, which is like a little like non-threat of a villain actually morphing into like this big threat that reappears throughout the rest of the movie. I can't think of too many other instances where that happened.
I do like that the reason Spot is because of the end of the last movie when the machine, exploded.
Yeah, the collider.
Yeah, the collider exploded. Like, he got sucked into it or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, it did that to him. It turned him into the Spot. So he has major beef with Miles, and understandably so.
Right. Yeah, I think that element kind of works between them.
Yeah, because that's something else like a lot of things don't usually explore, and if they do, it's usually like 10 years down the line because they can't think of anything else to do, is like just, some casualty in this disaster that happened takes it personal and has a vendetta against, the hero. I like that. It's like a very, it's like a very human element, actually, to the film.
Yeah, I absolutely. I guess kind of one of my more. It's not a criticism overall because I do think the movie balances everything pretty well. But I do think there are multiple times in this movie. Part of it is with the live action things, like you said, where it toes the line between being super just all about the narrative and what all of what you're seeing is because it's important to the plot,
and just being fan service,
a little fan servicey, cameo-y. I think there are times where it struggles with.
Yeah, like the introduction scene, like when they go to the Spider Society or whatever, and it's just kind of showing like all the Spider-Man. That was fine, but there are times where they just kind of go out of their way to do it.
Yeah, I really like when we get introduced to the Spider Society. I do love the Spider-Man from, like, I think they call it, like, the Mumbai, Manhattan, basically, the Indian Spider-Man. I love him. And then I love the, Punk Spider-Man? What is he called? I don't know.
Spider-Punk? I love Spider-Punk so much.
Okay, Spider-Punk is awesome. When he's like, I don't believe in consistency. Like, he's so cool. I really wish, like, those two would have stuck around for, like, the third act of this movie. But obviously, at the end, when we see the quote-unquote band Gwen has assembled, they're going to be on the team going into Beyond the Spider-Verse. So I'm really excited for that, because I like those two a lot. Spider-Punk is awesome, and then, Spider-Man, I don't remember his name. I think his name's like Pavitar something from, the Mumbai, Manhattan. I can't speak.
Yeah, something like that.
Awesome. He's just like happy. He's just vibing, and he's just fun, and good at being Spider-Man. And I liked him. I thought he was charismatic, and I'm excited to see more from those two. But, we do move off those and go back to pretty much, Gwen, Peter, and Spider-Man 2099 is kind of the main trio of characters that most of the dynamics in this movie.
I'm kind of wondering.
Peter B is in it, but.
Yeah, a little bit. And he's got a kid now with MJ.
His kid is funny. I
think they did. I think they showed a little too much of it. It got annoying after a point for me.
That's fair. I like the kid. I really like MJ in this movie, and like the couple of scenes we do get, like he comes back and she's like, "Tell me you did not bring our kid on a mission," and he's like, and she's like, "Okay, well, whatever." I like seeing MJ.
Let's hope he doesn't give MJ cancer, man.
Yeah. I really like how this movie kind of plays with the themes from Into the Spider-Verse in terms of, like, Miguel O'Hara, 2099, is kind of this overlord of, like, making sure the canon of Spider people, like, stay intact or whatever. And it feels like a very Spider-Man thing from, like, Miles and Peter to kind of fight back against this, especially when they find out, like, their dad's gonna, like, die or whatever. It's just, like, it feels very Spider-Man to be like, no, I'm not gonna let that happen, even if Destiny says it's gonna happen.
That's the thing, Spider-Man 2099 is literally trying to play God with Spider-Man. That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's like, look, in every universe, this happens, so we have to make it happen. Like, no, if in every universe that happens, it would just happen. It would just fucking happen. No one would be there to stop it. Like, if Miles can stop this, why not stop it?
Yeah.
He's already Spider-Man. It's not like he needs that to be Spider-Man. He is already Spider-Man.
He is Spider-Man. Then obviously that does kind of lead into, like, there's the weird thing with how technically Peter Parker, was already that world Spider-Man, and so Miles is, like, an anomaly in itself, which I think that stuff works. I like it. It's kind of weird to think through in your head. I'm like, wait. So overall,
it makes sense to me. Like, there's one radioactive spider per universe, and somehow the Earth 42 one made its way to Miles' Earth. So there was a second spider on that Earth, hence 2 Spider-Man on one Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And left the other Earth without a Spider-Man.
Yeah, very weird. But it makes sense, I guess. But yeah, I just love the kind of overarching theme of, like, is your destiny set in stone, or are you kind of in control of your own destiny? It feels like such a great Spider-Man, like, character arc. I do think the character moments in this movie are arguably even stronger than in the first one, or maybe we get just more time with them so they're a little bit more fleshed out. I feel like overall they hit harder. Like some of the stuff with Miles and his dad, with Gwen and her dad at the end, I really love. And just kind of the emotional elements, I think, are really strong.
Yeah, I think the stuff with Miles and his dad probably hits more in this just because you saw so much of it last movie, so they have a pre-established relationship, you know what it's like, you know what you're gonna get, and yeah, there's just like, there's this whole thing in this movie of Miles wanting to tell his parents that he's Spider-Man, but he doesn't know how they're going to take it, they don't know if they're going to accept him.
Right, which, that's another theme that I really, like, relate to and kind of like is like
it's something people deal with all the time. Like, you know, there are some things about you aren't comfortable expressing to your parents.
Exactly. Just like learning that, you know, you are special being who you are, and then like, but is someone else going to see that, the different parts of you, like, or are they going to think you're like weird or hate you or whatever?
And you really worry about that when it's someone you love. Like, you don't want someone you love to turn on you, to hate you.
Right.
Just for what you are, who you are.
Which we kind of, like, we see with, like, that's why, like, Gwen, you know, is so afraid, because her dad hates Spider-Man, and then if she tells him, like, or he finds out, you know, then it kind of, like, she thinks it's ruined. So that adds more to Miles not wanting to tell them. We still end this movie with Miles' actual parents not knowing. So that's something they're saving for the final film.
Speaking of Gwen and her father, did we ever even mention that the opening of this, her Earth speeder also died?
Oh, no. Yeah, well, we knew that from the last...
Yeah, but we see it. We get to see it. And her father kind of blamed her. Mm-hmm. Because, like, Peter shouldn't have been there.
Not dissimilar to Miles' dad seeing him over Uncle Aaron. And
yeah, but I do love that, like, you know, once she jumps ship with Spider-Man 2099, and once she finally does make her way back home to Captain Stacy, he's like, I haven't been a captain for years.
Right. Yeah.
He's like, I love you more than I love being a cop, and you are all I need. And that was so fucking endearing. I'm like, yes.
That's a great moment.
That's a good dad. It took him some time, but, like, he realized that he fucked up. He realized that he fucked up.
Yeah. I will say, this movie is really long for an animated movie, but I think it does a good job of, like, I think right when you're starting to lose a little bit of interest, or, like, you're like, okay, we've got to be getting towards the end, that's when, like, the final sprint of this movie kicks in, where, like, everything happens at the end. Miles goes back to his universe. It's actually not his universe. And then we're like, we find out that there's another Miles, and then that last 20 minutes is...
Oh, it's incredible, dude. It's fucking incredible.
Stuff I've seen in years.
Yeah. No, that last 20 minutes was probably the best cinema I've seen all year.
Yeah. I agree.
Like, it was crazy.
It's so crazy. It's so intense. You're so on edge. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, you don't know what's happening. You kind of put it together as it goes, but like I'd say I didn't really know what was going to happen until 3 to 5 minutes were left in the movie. I'm like, basically when Uncle Aaron said, "I'm not the Prowler," that's when I kind of pieced it. Like, oh, it has to be Miles then. If Uncle Aaron's not the Prowler, it's Miles, or it's Jeffrey. Well, no, Jeffrey's dead. Jeffrey's dead in that universe.
I thought it might have been Jeffrey too until I put that together as well. But I was I really wasn't sure.
And before I forget about Captain Stacy, I should say that they say, like, you know, in every universe, Peter loses Uncle Ben, and Captain Stacy dies. And Gwen is so relieved when she hears he's no longer captain, because that means he won't have to die.
Yeah. Or it's a captain quote.
Yes, it's a captain, because that's what they're saying. They're applying that to Miles as well, yeah. Like, his father is about to die.
Yeah. But no, that last 20 minutes are so incredible, and it sets up the third one so well. Like, yes, part of me is just a little bit annoyed, because it is a cliffhanger, and that's just who I am when I'm consuming media, is I don't want to end on, like, a quote-unquote cliffhanger like that. But it is so well done if you just look at it and like feel where they left it off and where you're going.
I mean, it is a little more frustrating now since that movie got delayed inevitably, but
indefinitely. Yeah.
At the time, it wasn't too frustrating because it was only 9 months away. But who knows when we're gonna see it now?
Yeah, now we've got to wait, and that will be a long wait, because I'm very excited to see how this concludes. they've got so much to wrap up, though. Like, I don't know how long this movie's going to have to be. I don't know how they're going to do it all, because there's just so many storylines and different elements that all have to come together.
Because, okay, Spider-Man 2099 and his crew are on Miles' Earth, right? But Miles is on Earth 42. No one is aware of this up until the point that Gwen finds out. Gwen's like, oh my god, he's not here. They sent him to the wrong Earth. And that's why she assembles the team. And it's like, it's the original squad from the last movie is back. You see Spider-Man Noir, and I'm like, yeah, Spider-Man Noir is back.
Yeah, it's the original squad and the new guy, Spider-Punk, is there.
Yeah, dude, Spider-Punk and Spider-Man Noir, dude, those two have got to interact. Oh my god, that's going to be the greatest interaction of all time.
I'm so excited. I also love the callback to, like, Gwen's final line is about how, like, at the start we see her in a band and she's playing drums or whatever, and she's like, I started my own band. And it's like all...
Dude, it's crazy to me that they, like, remixed the sound for the movie just for that scene, basically. Because it was hard to hear when I saw it opening night, but...
Yeah, it was difficult for me as well. Kind of a weird thing that happens, but I don't know. It wasn't.
I mean, it's cool that they did it. I just think it's kind of weird that they did. Like, that's a small detail to just go back and change.
Yeah. But yeah, my overall thoughts on Across the Spider-Verse, I still think it's great. For me, it's such an ambitious movie when you look back at it and everything it tries to do between all the characters and the multiverse storyline and the different villains. I think it loses some of that, like, intimacy and structure that Into the Spider-Verse has that makes it work so well. But it also gains some things from going for it all. Like, the action is awesome. It's incredible to look at. It just can be a little bit overwhelming, I think, when compared to that first one, at least for me. Yeah,
I guess. And, I guess we should mention that Spot, he evolved into something entirely different and more powerful.
Yeah, he's gonna be tough to stop.
He's basically like a giant black hole, almost. He's like... destruction incarnate.
Crazy. That's what I'm saying, dude. There's so much to do in Beyond the Spider-Verse because we've got to figure out how Miles...
I'm going to assume that all the Spider-Men have to come together to beat Spot, and then they'll take down Spider-Man 2099, however they do it. Because Spot is going after Jeffrey. He wants vengeance on Miles, so he's going after his father.
Yeah.
And I guess Spider-Man 2099 is trying to stop Miles from saving his father, so he's like, yeah, Spot, kill his dad. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? What the fuck?
2099's got like a kill squad going, and Spot's in the mix, and then Miles is on another planet with another Miles who's the Prowler, and they're still gonna have to be makeup with Miles and his parents, and him telling them he's Spider-Man. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that whole scene when he's talking to his parents or his mom's doppelganger, and he's like, "I'm Spider-Man, Mom," and she's like, "Who?
Who?" What?
And he's like, "You're joking, right?" And then that's when he knows something's up. He's like, "This ain't right.
This is not it." I don't know. I was like, "Oh crap!" Like, "Oh no." I would give a lot to experience that last 20 minutes again for the first time, because that was, like you said, probably some of the best, maybe the best cinema I've seen all year.
Oh, it's so incredible.
I don't think the entire movie is on that level, but overall, it's still a great sequel, and I'm excited to see how it ends. Whenever that may be, because these goddamn strikes and stuff.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to see as well. I'm ready to see more Spider-Punk. Also, like, every part of his body was animated at a different frame rate, so that's why, like... Yeah, I thought that was so sick. Like, he looked so awesome.
Cool. Yeah, he doesn't believe in consistency, so obviously every part of his body is gonna be different.
It's like... He was just... Yeah, like, anytime he was on screen, like, that's where my eyes were. He was, like, so visually intriguing to look at.
Mm-hmm. But, yeah, that is, Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse. 2 great Spider-Man films. Who knows when we're going to get another one.
2 amazing Spider-Man films.
Oh, look at them go.
Wait, I should say this, since it is a cameo in the movie. 2 spectacular Spider-Man films.
Hey, God.
I thought that was so cool when Spectacular Spider-Man was just kind of there in the background. I'm like, Spectacular Spider-Man! Yeah.
It didn't take away from anything, because it would make sense that
because it didn't really draw attention to it either. Like, it's just like...
He doesn't have, like, speaking lines or anything. It's just, if you're looking, you see him, and you get hyped, and it's great.
Like, if you've seen that show, you're gonna recognize him.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely more Amazing Spider-Man movies than the Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I will say that. But yeah, I think that just about does it. Brayden, want to tell them where they can listen if they're not watching on YouTube?
Oh yeah, so if you're not watching on YouTube, or if you're listening on anywhere else, watch this on YouTube. You can watch this on YouTube, listen to it on iTunes, listen to it on Spotify, listen to it to wherever you find your podcast. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Dude, I don't know. There's so many podcast streaming apps. It's probably not all of them, but it's on those I named at least. I know this much.
Yeah, it's tough to get.
It's on the popular ones, okay?
Brayden, the Pandora users are in shambles right now because we're
not
on there. Oh my god. Unbelievable. Alright, wrap it up.
Alright, well, that was Giggly Studios. That was Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse. We're gonna go back into hibernation now, and we'll be back next week and do something.
Hopefully, yeah.